Now, for most people, they already have a property that they live in and are looking to get into property investment. And perhaps you are, toying with the idea of what kind of property to go for, what to look at, which perhaps even financial institution you should begin to look at that could help you achieve your property investment dreams. So on this episode today, I'm going to quickly run through a couple of ideas that I have in mind, things that I did personally when I wanted to get into the whole property market. And hopefully point you in the right direction on how you can begin to use OPM, that's other people's money, to get rich quick. I must say, I am not a financial or real estate expert. I am simply someone who has personally tried my hands on some of these things, and I'm only willing to share my small experience with you. And hopefully, based on what I share, you can make an informed decision as well. So stay tuned. Let's get into this conversation right after this. Welcome back. My name is Jessica. I'm a broadcaster, fitness enthusiast, biker girl, and a voice actor who lives in Accra, Ghana. So today we talk about the buy-to-let option and how you can get into your first buy-to-let property and a few things that you can consider as well. Remember, this is part of my mortgage diary that I'm going to be doing over the next couple of weeks, every other week, on this channel to share my thoughts on property, mortgages, and that kind of thing. How to acquire your first buy-to-let property in Ghana. That's what I'm talking about today. Now, there are a lot of people out there who have some money just sitting in a bank, literally rotting away. Meanwhile, you do have other very good investment options that you can look into to build on your wealth portfolio. Now, a couple of years ago, I bought my first house. And I have a video right here on this channel that sort of addresses how I managed to buy my first house in Ghana. Very popular video. Lots of people loved it. And if you haven't seen it, take an opportunity to go through my channel and check it out. Now, that being said, when I bought my first house, a couple of years later, I had the opportunity to acquire my second property. Now, this automatically turned my first house, which was a liability because I continued to live in it, into an asset because suddenly it wasn't taking money out of my pocket, but giving me money or putting money into my pocket because I had the opportunity to rent it out to a tenant who was paying me monthly to stay in the property. Of course, this is a very simplified version of everything that I'm trying to talk about. However, there is some sense in what I'm saying. Now, buy-to-let is actually a really good option for people who would like to increase their wealth. And indeed, it's a very interesting way to build on your wealth or to get rich. Why do I say this? Now, if you're going to go into this whole buy-to-let thing, and especially if you're going to go for a mortgage for a buy-to-let option, think about it this way. You're using other people's money to acquire a property that is going to be yours, and you're literally going to use yet another person's money to pay for the property that you own. So the key to property investment is to make sure that you're actually finding a good investment property. Now, what makes a property a good one, a good investment? Essentially, it's if the property is able to pay for itself. Okay, how much are you going to get from rental income? How much are your monthly mortgage repayments actually going to cost? So for instance, if the loan you went from the bank to buy this investment property is requiring that every month you pay back, say, $300, are you going to be able to rent the property for at least $300 or more, such that every single month you're covering your mortgage? The things that determine whether you are going to be getting a good rental income for your property is also largely dependent on the location. So a little bit of research has to go into actually finding out what the general rental income is for properties in that neighborhood that you decide to buy a property in yourself. such that, of course, you're not going to make a really bad deal or a very bad decision should you decide to go for a property in that neighborhood. So for instance, if you go for a property in a neighborhood that charges, say, 2,000 cedis every single month, and you're paying back a mortgage that is, say, 2,500, then you should be ready to cough out an extra 500 cedis out of your personal coffers every single month to make sure that you can meet your mortgage repayments. And so you need to think through this properly. Is your rental income going to fully cover your mortgage, or will you have to top up? And indeed, even if you have to top up, is it an amount that will have you feeling sick to your stomach, or is it something that you can easily top up over a long period of time? Now, this is one key thing that you need to consider if you're going to go into property investment. Now, you need to make sure that the property is actually going to be worth the investment. Plus, the bank that I know of, at least, will always make sure that you are going for a property that, would actually allow you to be able to make your mortgage repayments monthly without fail. They'll do those checks for sure. Now, in looking for the perfect buy-to-let option or property investment option out there, I would say look out for things like this. For starters, at the point of negotiation or at the point where you're scouting for the perfect property, make sure you find a property that's being sold for below the market value. If it isn't, try and get it, negotiate to a point where you're actually paying less than the market value for the property, because at that point, immediately you'd have gained equity on that property and you're already halfway there. So say you go for properties in a place like East Legon in Accra, and you know that the market value for the property is, say, $100,000. Meanwhile, you've been able to negotiate, or the seller is selling it for, say, $80,000. Now, if you're able to get that bid, chances are you're automatically going to be making $20,000 on that property. And most of the equity that you gain is at the point of negotiation. So it's something that you can't actually take for granted. Negotiate everything, negotiate the house properly, and make sure that you're getting equity there. That's number one. Secondly, to make sure that when you buy the property, there are opportunities for you to add value to them, and they can be in various forms. Typical example, can you refurbish the property, spec it up a little, such that you can charge higher rental income, for instance, for that same property? Something you can look into. And finally, here's something to think about. There is what is called capital appreciation over time, where, depending on the location of the property, you know that, this is costing $100,000 this year, but in the next 10 years, you'll be able to sell the same property, whether you really add anything to it or not, for, say, $150,000. For me, that's a clear indicator of a property you should definitely be looking at and going for. Now, at this point, I'm hoping that I've given you enough information to make an informed choice. Now, if you are actually looking into this whole buy-to-let option, I would be more than happy to recommend First National Bank to you, as I know that they offer such mortgages for both resident and non-resident Ghanaians. So if you're actually serious about it, two things. I'm going to drop in the description a link to the First National Bank website. Alternatively, I will also drop an email if you'd like me to link you up personally with my people at First National Bank. Now, just send an email to diarymortgage@gmail.com, and I'll be more than happy to get to you quickly with all the information you need. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, don't forget to smash the like button. Don't forget to turn on all notifications when you subscribe as well, so you don't miss out on any of my content when I post. This has been the Mortgage Diary. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Jessica. Have a good one.